This could be Thursday. I can entertain one Okay, make it simple. I'm not real sharp, all right?
Well, thank you. You're Ronnie? Nice to meet you. Okay, I'm Mike.
Because I like to things. That's why I write my sermons. And I like to Mike is better. Back when they used to have the
Yeah.
So if we just 13, try to remember not to forget a couple of
Okay. Okay.
If it happens by accident, I'll just kill your mic.
And we can.
I would have for Christmas. I would always try to find
It's just the one.
She is all about
What is practical, not so much. I don't want flowers. That's what is always practical.
Newark City Schools Board of Education to order. It's October 11th, 2021 at 5:31 at the Roosevelt Building. Call the roll, please, Julio.
Mr. Blind.
Here.
Mr. Blowers.
Here?
Mr. Carr.
Here.
Mr. Weber.
Here.
And Ms. Necker.
Here. And now, Mr. Blind will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for being here this evening. We're going to do our Wildcat Spotlight, and the Wildcat Spotlight is an opportunity for us to highlight all of our school buildings within the district. So tonight we celebrate Hillview Elementary and Heritage Middle School. So what we're going to do is we have some folks here to receive some awards. So I'm going to come up and read the certificate and why these individuals were nominated for this award. I'll call you up, give you your certificate, and then I'm going to have you stand off to the side because we'd like to get a picture. We'll get all the Hillview folks, and then we'll get all the Heritage folks, and we'll do a picture with the board members and myself, and we'll put that on our social media pages and everything. So we will get started, and we'll try not to knock over anything here. But our first individual is a student at Hillview, and I'm going to read Seth Luce, and I'm going to tell you why Seth was nominated for this award, the Wildcat Spotlight. Seth was nominated for being a remarkable Hillview Hawk and represents all aspects of our SOAR theme. He represents his family and our community in a way that we can all be proud. His maturity at such a young age makes him the choice for the Wildcat Spotlight. So Seth, come on up. Stand right over here. And then we have a number of staff members here, and all their certificates say the same thing. We're honoring bus drivers and bus aides that deliver our students to Hillview. So, the certificates for these individuals for being a great team member in helping to get students to school safely. Bus drivers and aides play an important role in helping students start the day off on the right foot. So we have many individuals here that I'm going to call up. And again, this is a very important role because bus drivers and bus aides they have an opportunity to get a student's day started off on the right foot. They're usually the first face that student sees. So anything that you do can really start that student's day off on a positive manner. So, you come up when I call your name. Randy Agan. And Randy is not here, okay. Barb Bland. Okay, we're over 2. Patty Campbell. Patty. 3. Adam Davis.
There we
All
go.
right, we got one. Starting to get worried. That's all we got to do here time to pick our students up. Get the student graduated. And we have Stan Dahlwood. Stan. John Harder. Terrell Jackson. I knew he was He's always got so much energy, don't you? Yes, sir. Quincy Jackson?
Is that the volleyball game?
Quincy's at volleyball. Okay. Crystal McLean? Jim Newland? Bob Ross? I just remember Bob Ross from back in the 70s. Chuck Seville? Mike Simpson? Mike Trent? Lori Wheeler? Kim White? Rainey Willis? And Sue Young. There's Sue Young.
This is from the Bellevue kids. Put together some artwork for you to take back. And a big envelope stamped with Bellevue Hawks, ready to go. So here's this. And then they also created this whole stack of
Oh, wow. Wow.
thank you cards and artwork to take back and share with everybody at the garage and let them know how much we appreciate it, right?
Everybody come over here. Let's get a picture. Board members, you want to come out? Yeah, that'd be perfect. You just hold that. We'll get us folks in the back. You guys get out here in front.
Stay back there. Let's get up there.
There you go.
I want to squeeze a few.
Keep in here. Yeah, right behind you.
There we go.
Here, we can squeeze more. We can squeeze more down this way, folks. Come on in, everybody. All right, Warren, get through there. All right.
I love this.
All right. tell us when.
All right. Big cheese.
Cheese. What kind of cheese?
Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Congratulations.
Thanks, Cheryl. You're welcome.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do the, heritage winners, and then, Mr. Myers and Mr. Dusenberry will give building reports, talk about some things that are going on in their buildings. But I want to do the spotlight for heritage first. And the students that we have, you're here for the same thing. For being leaders at Heritage Middle School, our first winner is main gift, for being involved in the pre-engineering program where she works on hydroponic gardens and other projects. And as you can see, they brought some things here that they want to kind of share with you. So when I call them up, please come up and get your certificate. And then after we do our picture, I'm going to give you guys a minute to kind of explain what you brought. So, Ella Davies. Don't go far. King Gano. Taylor Smitley. Isabel Tracy. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the staff members, and then you guys are going to get a picture, and then you're going to explain this to everybody. The staff members for the Wildcat Spotlight, representing Heritage, for helping to lead STEM initiatives at Heritage Middle School, including pre-engineering and much, much more. So we have, this evening, we have Kim Hudson. And Ashley Schultz. Okay, before we do the picture, let's just have these guys explain what they brought here tonight. So Matt, this on? Who's holding this? Who's doing the talking? Everybody. All of us are. Get out of your way.
Hi, I'm Taylor Smitley. I'm 12, and I really. What? I am.
It's not on. Speak up.
They're actually hearing that through Facebook.
Okay. Hi, I'm Taylor Smitley. I'm 12, and I really like the band Queen.
Hi, I'm Ella Davies. I'm 12, and I play soccer.
Hi, I'm Kaden Gano. I'm 12, and I play baseball.
Hi, I'm Isabel Tracy. I'm 12, and I love to do theater and sing.
And we are the hydroponics team.
We are all in the 7th period pre-engineering class at Heritage Middle School. The pre-engineering class is a class where we use a series of processes which we use to build and solve problems.
We work on STEM projects throughout the year. We work at the Innovation Station by the main office.
In pre-engineering, we work on solving real-world problems, working on our teamwork and collaboration, creativity, and thinking outside the box. And we are presented an opportunity to fail and retry.
We have prepared for you a presentation about hydroponics, as well as our hydroponic systems. We hope you enjoy.
What is the design process? The design process is a series of steps engineers follow to design builds and solve problems.
The first step is to identify the problem. This is where you look for an issue that needs to be addressed.
The second step is to do research and gather information on the issue. The next step is to develop possible solutions to the problem. This is where you come up with different ideas that may solve the issue.
The fourth step is to choose what you think is the best solution out of the possible solutions that you made.
The fifth step is to create a prototype or make a model that works.
The sixth step is to test the prototype and evaluate your results.
The final step is to improve and redesign the prototype.
Then you do it all over again.
You might be asking yourself, we're here to learn about hydroponics, so we'll teach you about it.
Hydroponics is a way of growing plants without soil. The way the plants get their minerals and nutrients is from the water.
Hydroponic growing systems can be done both vertically and horizontally.
We are trying 2 different types of systems, and we'll be showing you our results.
The first one is a smaller one with lights on top that help with the growing. The second is a tall system made from PVC pipes.
We first assembled the hydroponics grow light system on September 24th. After we assembled it, we decided what seeds to use. We decided on kale, dill, collard greens, and sweet spinach.
We put them in the little sponges and filled the bottom container with 4 liters of water. We turned the lights on to vegetable mode and left the seeds to germinate. On the 26th, we saw some growth from the kale and the collards.
On the 30th, the tallest kale was 1 centimeter and the tallest collard was 1 8/10 centimeters. The dill grew very fast, growing to 2.5 centimeters in 2 days. Unfortunately, the spinach did not grow at all by that point.
We wanted to change our results with the spinach, so Taylor tried to encourage the plant growth by singing Bohemian Rhapsody and Radio Gaga 6 days in. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Later on the 30th, we added plant food to the water of the hydroponic system to see if that would help any.
We also assembled, as we call it, the bigger system, but Miss Hudson wanted us to say the whole name. So the hydroponic grow kit vertical double-side 6-pipe 54 plant space was assembled on September 29th. We first thought the system was broken because the instructions made no sense. But apparently the instructions were not the correct ones. So we printed out another set of instructions, and we were able to figure it out and get the system up and running the next day, September 30th.
We put the PVC pipes together and put the seeds in. The seeds we used were kale, cilantro, dill, collards, lavender, and basil. We put the system in a sunny area near lots of windows because it has no heater or lights, so it depends on the sun and the heat, so it is good for summer days. You can also put it outside in a sunny spot, but we decided to keep it inside.
While constructing, we ran into a few problems. One of the problems was we didn't have plugs in our PVC pipes. So when we turned on our pump and water spilled all over the floor. And we had to clean it up and try again. It did take us a little while to find all the plugs and clean up the water spillage, as well as empty the system of all the water.
The water spillage, by the way, was a nightmare. But luckily, we found the plugs. We put them in and it worked. The condensation leaks a little bit, but it's nothing major to worry about. If anything, it means the system is working because it is getting enough light and warmth other than just having water.
The system takes water in through a series of PVC pipes, then recycles it and starts the process again. After setting it up, we made some do not touch signs to put by it because it was in a vulnerable place by the cafeteria.
After it came back from the weekend on October 4th, we checked both systems.
The tallest kale on the small system was 3 centimeters.
The tallest collard on the smaller system was 2 5/10 centimeters.
The tallest dill was 7 centimeters, and the seeds were germinating in the larger system.
On October 5th, we checked both systems again. The tallest kale on the system was still 3 centimeters.
The tallest collard on the small system was 3 centimeters, and the tallest dill was 7 5/10 centimeters.
The spinach seeds were still germinating and had not sprouted yet.
The seeds in the bigger system did not start growing yet and will start germinating too.
On October 6th, we came back and checked both systems. Again, the tallest kale was 3 centimeters still.
The tallest collard was 3 4/10 centimeters.
The tallest dill was 8 centimeters.
On the bigger system, there was still one kale and one collard had sprouted.
On October 7th, the tallest kale was 3.5 centimeters.
The tallest the tallest collard was 3 4/10 centimeters still.
The tallest dill was still 8 centimeters.
On the bigger system, there was still one kale and one collard.
On October 8th, we checked both systems again. The tallest kale was 3.5 centimeters still.
The tallest collard was 3 5/10 centimeters.
The tallest dill was 8 2/10 centimeters.
The spinach seeds still had not sprouted, and one collard and one kale had grown a bit larger on the bigger system.
In conclusion, we figured out that plants grow very well on the hydroponic systems.
But for best results, use plant food regularly, monitor the plants, and make sure that there is always enough water in the system.
We hope you enjoyed our presentation about hydroponics.
Thank you for your time, and have a good evening.
Great job, kids. Any questions for these experts here? You want to take a look at their stuff before you leave tonight?
I have one answer to the spinach. It's not hot enough.
Guys, why don't you come up here? Let's get a picture with your two teachers here. You guys get right up there in the front.
I want our Queen fan to know that if I hit the CD button on my dash, Queen creates hits.
All right. Get in here.
That'd be awesome.
All right. All right, Mr. Dunham, you ready? Ready. All right. Big collard green. All right, Doug. Okay, I'm going to now invite Mr. Myers to come up to the podium and talk about what's going on at Hillview.
Before you start, Mr. Myers, I did have one question for the kids. With the spinach, do you think that maybe it wasn't that the spinach wasn't growing, but that maybe someone that gets to school early before you get there may have been eating it, like Mr. Dusenberry?
Keep up the great work.
I want to say, my daughter in Arizona tried to sell me the vertical one for like $600. So I think she was trying to get it. So, no.
All right, Mr. Myers.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Myers. I'm the principal of Hillview Elementary, and tonight I've been asked to provide a short report on some of the highlights for Hillview so far this year. So, one of the things that we've really been working on is continuing to develop our PBIS program, and at Hillview we soar. So at Hillview, and probably the four here from Heritage might be able to repeat this, we show kindness because they're all ex-Hillview Hawks right here, those four. So it's kind of fitting that they're here on the same night as us. Show kindness, own our choices, act safely, and respond with respect. And we have continued some practices that seem most effective. We've continued to use positive behavior referrals in our building, a practice we started last year. When students are seen soaring, they can be recommended by any staff member for this recognition. Students are announced the next morning on announcements, called down to the office, and I make personal positive phone calls with those students to their families. I've made over 110 of these positive calls this school year so far. Our PBIS committee has seen these calls make a significant difference in our interactions with our families and their perception of our school. We all use the same language with students and hold these core expectations at the forefront of what we expect in the building. I cannot say enough good things about our staff. Our staff continues to make a positive impact on students and their families. I recently conducted our United Way drive for our building, and I put some goals in place, and the staff knocked them out of the park. We have over $6,500 worth of pledges or donated money for United Way. And we all know that these contributions will benefit families and organizations throughout the city. I also want to take a moment to recognize all that the Hillview staff has done over the past year and a half. We have teachers who are making near impossible situations work. They are working to teach anywhere from 1 to all of their students online while still trying to manage in-person learners, and doing a fine job of it, in my opinion. Recently, Susie Huffman, one of our Hillview teachers, was highlighted in The Advocate. She has done everything to help her students learn and even told me this past Friday, "Nick, I'm doing all that I can this year to make this work." I believe her. But the truth is that they could have interviewed any of my staff, and they would have found a similar situation where they are making these difficult learning situations work. We also continue our strong relationship with our Hillview PTA. We have already held an event called Touch a Truck, where students could come to Hillview with their families and see trucks that are used in our community. Our PTA remains strong and committed to family events that help school and families connect. We had a great attendance, and the kids got to climb up into the trucks, honk the horns over and over and over, and have an experience that they will remember for their whole lives. Hillview is a great place to be. We continue to work hard to provide the best for our students and their families. Thank you for the opportunity to share some of our news with you, and we look forward to sharing more positive news moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Nick. Now I would like to have Dean of Students Doug Dusenberry from Heritage Middle School come up.
Hi, I'm Doug Dusenberry, Dean of Students at Heritage Middle School. I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity for me to talk about Heritage Middle School. Mr. Sadler could not be here today or at this time. A couple of things he wanted me to touch on is the increased STEM offerings this year. We've offered now into 6th grade, so we now have STEM programs in all 3 grade levels in our newly designed innovation station. Another thing is our PBIS effort that has led to increased student recognition for positive behavior. So far this school year, we've given out 250 ROAR awards, and what ROAR stands for is responsibility, ownership, acceptance, and respect. Mr. Sadler calls these names over the PA system each day and gives a little bit of a shout out to the kids and let the other students and staff know what they did to earn this. And then we're getting ready to hold our second drawing where we'll pick out of the 150 or 25 names that will receive a pizza. We're actually going to do that tomorrow, and the kids will get the pizza on Thursday during lunchtime. Some upcoming events that we have coming up is on October 29th, we're going to have our Halloween dance from 6:30 to 8, put on by our PTA, which also our PTA did a great job of putting a back-to-school bash collar run on the 1st of September. We had well over 200 kids there participating, and they had a blast. November 11th, we'll have our Veterans Day Assembly. And on December 15th, we'll have our combined holiday concert at the high school auditorium at 6 p.m. Some end-of-the-year events Mr. Sadler wanted me to touch on is on May 18th, we'll have our honors banquet, our 3.5 banquet. This year, we're going to hopefully be able to hold it up at the Newark High School Commons at 6 p.m. And then on May 24th, we'll hold our 8th grade celebration, graduation at Heritage at 6 p.m. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Once again, I'd like to congratulate all of our individuals here that received the Wildcat Spotlight tonight. You're more than welcome to stay for the entire business meeting, but if you would like to leave, this is your chance. So, Mr. Dusenberry beat everybody out the door. Thanks, everybody. Congratulations again.
He's just holding the door.
No, he's holding the door.
Huh?
Huh?
I signed them.
Now we'll have communications from the floor. Anyone wishing to address the board this evening can come up to the podium. Please give your name and address, and you can speak for up to 5 minutes. Does anyone wish to address the board this evening?
Okay, if I take this off so that you can hear me, thank you. My name is Jamie Holderman. My address is 624 King Avenue. I just wanted to come and say hello because I am actually a candidate for Newark City School Board, and I am a mother of 5. I have 2 children in the elementary school, 1 in one of the middle schools and 1 in the high school. And I just wanted to say hello because I appreciate the opportunity to serve both the community and the students through the school board, hopefully. So thank you. And thank you for those lovely presentations. That was very interesting.
Thank you. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Anyone else wish to address the board this evening? Okay. Treasurer's recommendations.
Yes, we do have 4 recommendations this evening. The first one is the approval of minutes, Board of Education meetings, September 13, 2021 regular meeting, and September 30th, 2021 special meeting. The number 2, or letter B, will be the approval of fiscal year 22 permanent appropriations resolutions. We have 3 new grants that we need to add to our appropriations. Letter C is the approval of September 2021 financial statements and payments to vendors. Letter D is the loss of revenue resolution due to COVID-19 pandemic. We are to reimburse some of the funds that district-wide have lost revenues due to the pandemic and the closing of the schools for fiscal year 2020. Going back to letter C, which is the approval of September financials. We review those financials this evening prior to this meeting with the Finance Committee. And just so you know, the revenues right now are at $23.3 million, which in last year is $24 million, which is a difference of less revenue of $756,582, or about 3% less than last fiscal year. But revenues are due to timing. Sometimes revenues don't come when they're supposed to come. They come either before the month or the following month. It's all about timing issues. Expenditures, we're at $18 million through the month of September, compared to last fiscal year at the same time is $19 million. So it's a little over $1 million, or close to $2 million, or about 9% of expenditures through the month of September. Cash balance with a $52 million compared to last fiscal year at $48 million. That's about 8.17 increase over the last fiscal year in cash balance. So overall, our revenues and expenditures and cash balance are on target for the first 3 months of this fiscal year. Just so you let you know that on that summary sheet that you have in there, I have added some graph at the bottom of it, which is the enrollment projections. Over the left-hand side is in blue is the enrollment projections, or the actual enrollments for the last 5 years, and also the expense per student. Also, we have a 5-year history of revenues, expenditures, and cash balance trends, so that you can have an idea where we've been over the last 5 years in our finances. But overall, it's everything is looking pretty healthy. And that will be the end of my report today. Recommendations.
Do I have a motion to approve treasurer's recommendation?
So moved.
I'll second.
Tom has moved, Warren second the motion. Any questions or comments? I just had one, or the reimbursements. Did Fine Arts request any reimbursements, or are they a part of the athletics or student
There will be
activities?
part of these funds. We needed to do them by funds and not by specific departments or programs. The reimbursement has to be by fund, but it will be a part of this reimbursements in there.
Okay. So they did
They will have
request
some. Yes.
some reimbursements, okay. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
And Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, superintendent's recommendations.
Yeah, thank you. Under A, personnel, I've got A1 down at the bottom. We do have a retirement. We have Lisa Wiseman, and just wanted to read a little bit about Lisa. Lisa was hired in April of 1995 as a food server at John Clem Elementary School. Since that time, she has also worked for food service and the general kitchen and moved from John Clem to Par Excellence in her food server job. She resigned from food service work in November of 2015, and she was also employed in the crossing guard position at Conrad Elementary School from 2001 through 2005. She was hired as a bus aide in November of 2008 and will retire from that position on November 30th, 2021. So we want to thank Lisa for her service to the school district and wish her the best of luck in her retirement. A few other items I just want to draw your attention to. A3 classified, we're still hiring people. Throughout the year, we're continuing to hire folks. So you can see we've got, anything from secretaries to custodians to bus aides, cashiers. We're continuing to hire people to work in our school district. Down at A4, we have supplemental contracts, and that consists of winter sports supplementals as well as other building supplementals. So we have quite a few of those on the agenda. Under A7, substitutes, you see we have a couple of bus drivers there, which is, very thankful for that because we can always use bus drivers in our district. So we're very appreciative to have more to add to our fleet. And then under B, curriculum, we have the approval under B2A, approval of an out-of-state trip for our junior ROTC going to a drill meet in Pennsylvania. And then would like to draw your attention to some graduates from NCS Digital. We have Zachary Dahlwood, Jasmine Hill, Zionia Johnson-Lee, Caleb Loafman, and Davy Soltis. So we wish those students the best of luck as they pursue whatever it is in the next step for them. So that is all I really wanted to draw your attention to under my recommendations A and B.
Do I have a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations?
I'll second.
Mike has moved. Tim seconded that motion. Any questions or discussion? Call the roll, please, Julio.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
And Ms. Nick?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now I will announce the intent to adopt board policies. These is recommended the Board of Education announce its intent to adopt the following policies as shown. An announcement be made that these policies will be available to the board, staff, and public for inspection in the Office of the Superintendent of Schools from October 12th, 2021 until November 12th, 2021. From the Executive Committee, these are all revised policies. 0169.1, public participation at board meetings. 1530, evaluation of principals and other administrators. 8400, school safety. 8600, transportation. 8651, non-routine use of school buses. From the Finance Committee, all revised policies. 6114, cost principles, spending federal funds. 7300, disposition of real property, personal property. 7450, property inventory. 8330, student records. 8740, bonding. From the Personnel Committee, all revised policies. 3122, non-discrimination in equal employment opportunity. 3123, Section 504 ADA, prohibition against disability discrimination in employment. 3362, anti-harassment. 4122, non-discrimination in equal employment opportunity. 4123, Section 504 ADA, prohibition against disability discrimination in employment. 4362, anti-harassment. From the SALT Committee, New policy 2370.01 blended learning. Revised policies 2260.01 section 504 ADA prohibition against discrimination based on disability. 2271 college credit plus program. 5111 eligibility of resident and non-resident students. 5111.02 educational opportunity for military children. 5200 attendance. 5350 student mental health and suicide prevention. 5464 early high school graduation. 5516 student hazing. 5630.01 positive behavior intervention and supports and limited use of restraint and seclusion. 8462 student abuse and neglect. 8500 food service. So these are all available for your inspection, and then our intent is to vote for these on these policies at the next board meeting in November.
Here are the color copies if you guys wanted to look at them. I know when they were sent to you, they went black and white, so in case any of you want to peruse these this evening. I'm just supposed to get those back exactly as they are, Julie said, so. Yeah, don't get me in trouble.
Cabinet member reports.
Yeah, cabinet member reports. I'll kick it off before introduce the others. Really not a lot. I enjoy seeing the spotlights, especially, having the students come in and present and hearing from our buildings. I hope everybody appreciates that. And, that's why we're here. So I want to hear from our buildings. We have a lot of great things taking place in our buildings and throughout our district. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Other than that, last week was homecoming week. That was nice to kind of be out and about and not only at the high school, but our elementary buildings participating in dress-up days and things of that nature. The homecoming parade and the carnival. I thought that was a great thing that was well attended by a lot of young people in our community. Just a lot of the time and effort that goes into those events. We have a lot of great employees and students that put a lot of time and effort into that. So, what a positive thing for our students. And then I went to my first, live conference since COVID, and was kind of nice to be around, other superintendents and without mask and just kind of being in the same place. And, because we've all been through a lot, over the last 18 months. I know Barb and Maura were able to attend as well. I think they would agree that it was kind of nice to be back and be able to attend a conference in person. So that's really all I have to share. So Maura?
Sometimes I like to see what the building presentations are to kind of build off of that. And I just want to point out too that yes, all four of those heritage students were from Hillview, but they all came from Meredith Kutrinko's class. She's happened to have them all. Meredith does a great job with project-based learning, is a big STEM proponent in terms of how she provides opportunity for kids. Not saying that other teachers don't, but she certainly goes above and beyond. And because of that, just like Heritage, I mentioned that we have expanded STEM opportunities for kids this year with the inclusion of a pre-engineering class at the 6th grade. Meredith has taken on the first Lego League at the 5th grade for the first time this year. She was one of those people that I said, hey, Meredith, would you be willing to do this? And she said yes. She got 2 teams going. And so this will be the first year that we have 5th grade teams participating in the first Lego League robotics competition. And if you've never seen it, it's like the Super Bowl of robotics. Kids jump up and down when they get one task correct. And so it's really kind of fun because those are the types of things we're trying to do, is provide that opportunity for kids. So that's one of my passions. I was a former English teacher, but STEM became something, 11 years ago or something. It's like we were missing the boat on that. And so it's like, how do we bring more programming to Newark and what does that look like? And we took a lot of input from students in terms of what is it that we bring, and it's just grown from there, so that's phenomenal. So I was also going to point out, too, one of the things as well, as you saw, there was a teacher who was running the slideshow for the students from Heritage, and we really promote collaboration, and collaboration not only with science teachers or math teachers, but across the curriculum in terms of how can we help. Gabe Weaver helped those kids with their presentation. He's an English teacher at Heritage. And so that's one of those things too where it's let's get things cross-curricular, because STEM blends into everything, language arts blends into everything. You will find something in everything. And that's an important thing to point out as well for that. Leading into social emotional learning. Okay, that too is something where all learning is social emotional. And with that, there are standards that are created by the Ohio Department of Education for social emotional learning. And that's something that Newark City Schools has been ahead of the game. Even before they put out those standards, we were trying to include social emotional aspects into curriculum. So when our grade level teachers get together, one of the things is not like if you're an elementary teacher, it's not just how does this hit this math standard, what else are we doing to include the social emotional standards? And right now we're trying to get the intentional push too with that is where does it naturally fit? Starting with the high school teachers is to get a sense of, we know that we teach most of these standards, and if we're not, how can we find that place for it, because it's important for all kids. And so for instance, one of the social emotional standards is self-awareness. And under that, one of the particular indicators is analyze why current events may trigger an emotional reaction and identify ways to regulate response. That's going to naturally fall into history. Current events is a big thing, but that's important for kids to recognize how that happens. You're going to find most of these things through literature also, but also too, how to solve complex problems. That falls into math. But it's more intentional understanding so kids can get a better sense of their own emotions, their own feelings, you know, that type of thing. Why am I feeling like this? Maybe something triggered emotion, and we talk about triggers all the time, and we don't know. But if kids are more aware of why they're feeling the way that they do, and is it anger or is it sadness, and then they can kind of maybe self-regulate down the road, and that's a big thing of what we're trying to do. And that kind of segues into, you know, right before with the board, and right before we were all forced to go home for the remainder of the year 2 years ago, we had just hired a wellness coordinator. And so Ronnie was hired, and then we went home. So this is probably the first year that Ronnie Boyer actually got to do her job in a normal circumstance, because this is the, you know, we didn't start the school year we didn't end the school year in virtual learning, and we didn't start last year we started in virtual learning. So this is the first year that Ronnie's really been able to do her job with everyone together at school, in school, to best provide supports for our students and staff. And she's going to go into more detail about that, but we take a lot of data from our social workers, school counselors, and student advocates, whomever who does meet with our students in terms of what are our needs. And so from that, we look at not just based on what trends say or what everyone else is doing, based on Newark City school needs, we try to bring programs in to support kids. And so with that, I'm going to end my portion, because I think Mr. Lewis, is Ronnie up next?
Yes, and for those at home, I forgot to say, you know, Maura is our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Staff Development. So I want to make sure that I mention who's speaking. So, but yeah, good segue into Ronnie Boyer, our Wellness Coordinator.
I just wanted to mention as Ronnie's coming up and Maura's going back to her seat, Gabe Weaver is also a product of Newark City Schools, graduated from Newark High a few years ago. And the comment you made about children and students understanding their emotions and where the emotions are coming from goes for adults also. Important thing to know, anger is not a primary emotion. If you're feeling anger, another underlying emotion has triggered that. And I think since I started understanding that and really thinking about anger not being a primary emotion, it's helped a lot in my personal life to deal with stressful situations also. So it goes for adults also. Sorry, Ronnie.
Yes.
Thank you. No, don't apologize. It sure does. And I think it's beautiful that you would share that. We all need to be more open about our journeys and sharing where we're at. And yes, it was kind of interesting for me to accept this new job that would start March 1st, 2020, to be the wellness coordinator at Newark City Schools. And I have been an employee for 10 years as the parent mentor. I was very excited to have to step up to the challenge to actually be able to deal with the entire student population as well as the adult population and try to make a positive impact at a systems level. So it was much, it looked different when it actually started than when I accepted the job, as you can imagine. So it was an honor, though, to go through that time that was so tender for so many of us, and to be in a position where I could offer encouragement and support and help to focus on self-care and different things like that for our staff. And it was an honor. So I do want to share some things that we're doing in our district, we're proud of, we're excited about, and it really is trying to pull together and streamline the hard work that's been done for many years before this position was even created. So the SEAS team has been being established throughout the years, the Social, Emotional, Academic Success Team, and the Wellness Coordinator, myself, coordinates that. And we know how important social emotional learning is. Research shows time and time again that students who receive this learning, the support of these types of topics, they do better academically, they do better socially and behaviorally. And it impacts their lives, students as well as adults. It impacts their lives on every level. And we know that it positively impacts their economic growth, their opportunities, as well as mental health outcomes. One of the competencies that Maura mentioned was self-awareness. We also have self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And this is all based on ODE standards, but of course they get theirs from an organization, CASEL, which is the collaboration of academic and the social emotional learning nationally. So everything we do, of course, is based on that. And when we researched our programs, we did it completely in alignment with everything that they presented, as well as what would support and be in alignment with PBIS. So it's really exciting to me that we can have, I feel like they're married. These two systems don't need to be separate. They're definitely something that go hand in hand. When we break it down, I just want to share with you that we're really cultivating a culture of resilience. That's what we're trying to do. It's not something that is just in one building or one classroom. For the entire district, we are cultivating a culture of resilience. And it couldn't be more important now. You know, it can't be more important to have this focus and to have everyone supporting it and behind it. And it does take everyone. So some of our goals are that all SEAS team members would be invested and engaged in the entire plan of what we're implementing, that all adults would be promoting this culture of resilience and wellness, that we would have district-wide consistency and building level flexibility. So while as a district we will say, you know, this is the program that we're using, this is the curriculum, it's up to the building level, the principal, to be able to have the flexibility to find out how that works best in their building. And we feel that that will have the most sustainable impact. We also want to focus on responding rather than reacting, modeling the tools and strategies that we're teaching our students, collaborating with community organizations, and layered implementation. And you can see this on the handout that I've given you. Down below you have pictures of the logos of all the different programs that we have going on right now. Many of these have been around for quite a while, and they're in collaboration with community organizations such as Pathways of Central Ohio, Mental Health and Recovery for Licking and Knox counties. We also have, through these different organizations, the different programs like the Signs of Suicide, which is a screening, Girls in Progress, which is a small group setting. So different, when you look at it, you can see the parallels to the PBIS, the model where we have the baseline Tier 1 universal foundational intervention, and then on up to Tier 3. So whether it's everybody receives this or small groups are receiving it because they show a higher need, we have something at every level. It was important to us to, I would like to say, build deeper rather than wider. So instead of getting a whole bunch of new things, to kind of take a look at inventory, what we had, what was working and why, and invest in that and build deeper and continue those relationships with our community. Also, to what the ones that we were building into and reaching out to add would be the foundational social emotional learning curriculum. And as you can see there, second step serves for our elementary school and middle school. And then we're moving into the DBT in schools for high school. And we have supplemental programs too, such as Sources of Strength. And that's a highlight I'd like to share. Just at the beginning of this week, we completed a training, a 2-day training at the high school, where this program was the very first stages of implementation were started. We trained adult advisors, as well as a core team of student leaders. There were 45 of them, with a national trainer from Washington, D.C. So Scott Coble, who's the head of the department of the school counselors at the high school, he and I worked together and did this training, and it was so incredible. Sources of Strength is a suicide education and prevention program, but it focuses on strengths. It focuses on positively building up the things that we need, the resilience factors, the protective factors that students and adults need to keep us healthy mentally. So it's a really exciting way to handle it instead of the scare tactics and bad, statistics and trying to freak kids out. It's peer-led, and it's all about being positive. So we started that, and we're moving forward with that and hoping to see that in our middle schools as soon as next year. So those are some of the highlights. We also had our kickboard training, which was a trauma-informed school, full-day professional development for all teachers at the beginning of this school year. Some other exciting things like that. Calm Classroom is a mindfulness program, talks about, taking a pause and self-regulating. And that has been around for quite a while in our district, but we're focusing on the district-wide consistency where it will be practiced in every building. And that's something else that's going on. So those are some of the programs. And just looking over the 3-year implementation goals, we want to state with confidence that we are a trauma-informed and responsive district. This isn't a goal that we reach or a like a trophy that you get or a box that you check. Again, this is a culture, and it's promising as adults that we will practice what we're teaching and that we will respond rather than react with a trauma lens. Again, the foundational SEL curriculum for K through 12, a vaping education and prevention program, suicide awareness and prevention, and adult social emotional wellness, as well as parent and community education. So developing these skills in our students, it's a really important part of addressing the needs of the whole child, which is, of course, ODE's big, part of their strategic plan for education. And really, it's so much bigger than the whole child, because when we start within these classrooms, our teachers have so much that they're trying to do and trying to accomplish, and we can get this to them in these kernels, that where it's laid out and ready for them to do and help support them, and then they instill it in the children and the students, and it's a wonderful impact on their classroom, throughout their whole building, and then our whole district. And with the parent and community education, we can have a wonderful impact on the families and the homes and our entire community. So thank you. I'm very grateful to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ronnie. We're blessed to have her. Always feel better after you talk to Ronnie. All right, Barb Quackenbush, Assistant Superintendent for Certificated and Licensed Personnel.
Hello, happy to be here. After hearing all of these great things, you can see why when I get to go out and take a team of colleagues with me to recruit and talk about all the great things going on in our district, it's very easy for me and the team to encourage and find new hires, because we have so many great things going on in our district with Cs, with our curriculum, with our resident educator program, and all of the supports that we offer. So it makes it easier to have a little bit of a leg up on the other districts that the candidates may be going to. So happy about that. Very quickly, we have started this year implementing OTES, the Ohio Teacher Evaluation System, and OPES. P is for principals. 2.0, so that's new for us, for our teaching and teaching staff and our administrators. So we are I'm excited to have our teachers going through that process. We've always had solid evaluations, but with OTES 2.0, it really helps the building principal and the classroom teacher to really dive a little deeper into the data and to make some good goals and some good decisions when it comes to teaching and learning. So with that, personnel. Yes.
So the OTES
2.0, yeah.
2.0 is different than it was 2 years ago.
It has been adjusted a little bit. Yeah, it's added a little bit of the social emotional piece in there. Maura and I were in a kind of a sample group a few years ago through ODE that we were able to do some training with, to really kind of look at the rubric that was previous and then add some different things to it.
Right.
So it's really encompassing a lot. There's a lot of great areas. I don't have them all memorized yet. I probably should have brought that with me in case there were some further questions. But really, as Ronnie shared, this rubric is really looking at the whole student as well as the whole teacher. So.
Okay. Any adjustments to the grading, to the scale, the formula?
No.
Okay,
No, it's
same formula?
It's still using the rubric. It's a holistic scale.
Okay.
And the rubric really is, as excuse me, when I presented on this to our first year teachers and talked early on when OTES first came about, we follow the rubric on the ODE website. We are not using anything different, so it's right there for everybody to see. And I've always explained it and shared with our staff that this rubric is for you. It's your rubric.
Right.
All you need to do is start at skilled and then go up, and you can see what that rubric, what those expectations are under skilled and so on, carrying up to accomplish. So it's right there, and I've always asked that our teachers just really dive into that, to embrace that and show all the great things that they do.
And that's also including the principals?
Yes.
That's okay, got it, okay. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Sounds like you want to get licensed to do this.
Do you want to come
You
back?
want to help
Is there
evaluate?
anything I can help you with that?
You sure?
No.
All right.
And the other great thing too, I know Maura talked about Gabe Weaver, Bev talked about Gabe Weaver. I've known Gabe since he was middle school as well, but Gabe also graduated from Newark High School, went away to college, and then came back to us, as many of our teachers, our full-time teachers do, and Gabe was a guest teacher with us in the district. And for anybody who wants to be a guest teacher, I do always encourage our guest teachers to, although they interview with me, their best interview is when they're working every day in the building, and they're in the building principal, and the other teachers get to see what they're doing. Because many times I will have a staff member or a principal reach out to me to say, hey, I need Sammy Slaybaugh in my building. This person was great. I love them. So it's a great way to kind of become, if you're interested in becoming a full-time teacher in Newark, to do that. So.
Right, and there was Newark graduates on the substitute approval list this evening even.
Yes, yeah, there was.
Thanks, Barb.
Great, thank
Speaking
you.
of Newark graduates, Barb, I happened to catch the replay of the Ashland, Ohio Dominican game last night on Bally Sports, and I
Thank
kept
you.
hearing the name Quackenbush.
Yes, thank you. Very proud of Jed. He did have a 35 and a 41-yard field goal, made all of his extra points.
All right, next we have Director of Student Services, Mindy Vaughn.
Good evening. So on the student services side of things, kind of it piggybacks on some of the policies that are for review, as well as that social emotional regulation. We finished up our crisis prevention intervention training, which is that restraint and that de-escalation training. We did 3 final refreshers and 1 new initial training. So now all of those staff who were trained previously have all been retrained. And so that was a great success. We have added additional board-certified behavior analyst supports. We have contracted with the ESC for additional day of supports, as we are having with our younger kiddos, especially those kindergartners who may have sat out an extra year because of COVID and then came back, are having some of those regulation issues and trying to figure out where that fits from being at home versus coming to school and different expectations. So we've added that additional support as well. We hired this year an IEP coach, Meg Abbott, and she is doing monthly trainings in each building with the intervention staff. And so she has been accomplishing those and had great feedback on those pieces, both from her perspective as well as the staff and the benefit of those. So it's been a good year so far. I would also say Nicole Garrison has worked with a couple of kiddos we've had placed elsewhere for working back for successful transitions back to our own buildings, which is also something that we work for all of our kiddos.
All right, Mindy, thank you. Next, we have Director of Classified Personnel, Mark Shively.
Good evening, everyone. A couple follow-ups on some topics from last month. Site work has been started this week, hopefully, for our MTW project. So that'll begin. We have submitted all documents for the bus grant reimbursement, and we've got a couple of things that we need to correct. They want some additional information, so we're working to gather those documents to send that in. You'll remember last year you approved that project, and we received 6 new school buses through that program with our efforts financially as well as the efforts from the grant. So working to get that grant reimbursement. So we're still working on that. That's but initial documents have all been submitted. Finished up with receiving all of our new copiers in the district with the new copier contract. Today was the first day of beginning the process of removing the old copiers from the district, because we had switched providers of that service. So that process is wrapping up as well. Again, as we talked before, working with the engineer's office for the Hillview project, we have a pre-bid meeting coming up on Thursday of this week to talk with any potential contractors with regards to that project, answer any questions they may have before that bid opening, which is scheduled for next Wednesday, the 20th. So getting moving forward on that. Just wanted to point out in a couple of other points that we have here, a little bit of a concern right now with food service and the procurement of food. As you may have heard, some things are not as readily available as they used to be. Everything from the styrofoam trays to peaches and applesauce. And government cheese, I think, is gone now, from what I understand. So there is some issues here and there with getting food. So it's a little bit of a lag in getting the supplies that we need, which causes a little bit of difficulty in preparing a menu 2 weeks in advance, because you just don't know if you're going to get the food in or not. So we're working diligently on a daily and weekly basis to determine what do we have and the required amount of grams and grains and fruits and vegetables and so forth to make it a reimbursable meal for our students. And so Todd and his staff are working very hard on that, but that's I think will only grow in difficulty here as we move forward, but there's always hope that it will get better come the new year. So those are just a few of the highlights that we're working on now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Now we have Technology Supervisor Amy Norman.
Good evening. Thank you again for the opportunity to share what's happening in our department. one of the things I want to start out with is a couple of projects that we're working on in conjunction with the curriculum department. We have the normal start of the school year, everybody getting their classrooms back together after they've been taken apart from summer cleaning. My department helps everyone out with that, gets the computers get up and running after they've been sitting a while. So those are just the normal beginning year kind of rush. But right now, we're also working on 2 projects that involve software deployment that we need to install on these over 6,000 devices that we have for students now. The first one being the Ohio Secure Browser, which we deploy every year. It needs a new upgrade from the ODE. This is the lockdown browser that the students use for their online testing. So this month, the 3rd graders will be doing their assessment. It's coming up later this month, so we're working on that, getting that out to devices. And this year, we have a new one that we're implementing the software out to, which of course takes a different secure browser than the state one. It's from NWEA, called the MAPS testing. It's something different, again, working with the curriculum department that all of the students this year will be taking that. So we need that application installed on the devices. And I do have to say, Moore and I did not plan this, but I want to give a shout out to Meredith Kucherenko. She tends to be my guinea pig out in the classroom when we're testing this. We test it in our office. We do the deployments. We see how it's going to work. And then I usually check with Meredith, hey, I need you to check your computer and turn it on and do this and do that. So she's more than willing to do it. But since we both got shout outs, maybe Donald's Donuts is in our future. Just saying. Just saying. And then also to kind of come back to something, Ben Franklin was our highlight last month, and we've had a project that's been ongoing quite a while over there that's a real pain point. But I think it's worth noting that we have found an approved vendor for the repair of the Ben Franklin paging system. That's been a real sore point, not only from its cable, but all of the community over there. And we're well aware of the safety issues that's brought on, but we've met with the vendor. I think we're off to a good start. We've got everything, the ball rolling to move forward down that path. So we're looking forward to that system being functional very soon. And then we're going to take a proactive step with the new vendor that we've met to do a health assessment through the rest of our buildings that have the same system. It is a very aged paging system. The only thing missing are the individual room buttons where you used to click them and talk into the rooms. So we do know that we need to do some assessments across the district and get all of our buildings up and running. So Ms. Cable's been very creative in her announcements and things that she needs to communicate. So hopefully that, we can get that going for her and put that at rest for her. And the last thing I want to share, and I know Mr. Lewis has heard me say this, other people have heard me say this, that no one really calls my department unless they have a complaint. I don't really get that call, hey, thank you for making my computer work today. But this week, again, piggybacking on what Mr. Myers was here with the Hillview staff and to kind of share some things. We received this in our mail this week, addressed to the Dear Technology Department. Thank you for fixing our computers. We are so happy to have them working. We like Dreambox, Epic, and Seesaw, which are applications provided to the students through curriculum. Ben is the best. This is Ben Petty out of our Data Serve team, one of the techs. So this is coming from Sincerely Hillview, room 115, Mrs. McCafferty's room, and all the students have signed this. So we're like little kids ourselves, and they brought this in and hung it on our wall, and I wanted to bring it over and share it. So I will make sure that Mr. Myers also knows that. So that was kind of exciting for our department. I think one of the first. So someone called and didn't have a complaint.
Thanks, Amy. Next, We have Gemma Zimmerman, who is our Community Outreach and Special Programs Coordinator.
Hello, everyone. So last week was the kickoff to our after-school programs, and it was a great start. So I'm really excited to be back in session and have the programs running. Wildcat Adventures, we participated in the Homecoming Carnival, which was a lot of fun. The kids sold 185 snow cones, so they were like so excited about that. Yeah, so that was fun for them. Tonight, they're actually doing a community service project, and they're at Whitefield, they're washing and waxing the bronze statue there. So that should look good for the next home games. So yeah, excited about that as well. A few other things going on in Wildcat Adventures. Teaming with Lori Mai, one of the site coordinators there. She brought in 3 different recruitment opportunities during the lunch hours, 4 lunch periods. So we've had 3, and that was with Texas Roadhouse, Tim Hortons, and Harry and David. So those went over really well during lunchtime. Also, with all the programs, I have Denison students coming in. So we're really happy to have partnered with Denison. So I have about 5 students that are volunteering at the high school, and then 3 at the middles. So that's an exciting opportunity to have that partnership as well. As far as the elementary programs, we had our big K-Kids and Builders Club kickoff meeting last week at the high school, and so we partnered with Scott Coble and the Key Club high school students. So what it is, K-Kids is for the elementary programs, and then Builders Club is for the middle school programs, and we work with the Kiwanians. So the Kiwana members were there on Thursday night, and we had a fun little activity. They did a little puzzle activity, and the kids had fun with that. So I had the 4 elementaries and 2 middle schools there. So we're excited to bring the middle school kids on with the Kiwanas this year. So we also picked officers that night. Moving forward, the way it works is there's a different Kiwanian that will go to each program once a month. And they'll work with the students, and we'll have, we have officers and all that, right down to the gavel. So they get excited about that. So that is exciting too, and we so appreciate that partnership with the Kiwanians. So we've also partnered with the Works, so we have programming going on all year with the Works, so they'll be coming in to the programs as well with different special programs. And then martial arts is coming back, so I've expanded to the high school. So we're not only working with elementary kids and middle school kids with Impact Martial Arts, but the high school kids are also going to get a chance to participate. So I'm happy about that. So that's it for my after-school programs. Now, I know I spoke last time about our collaboration, the health collaboration with Lincoln Memorial and Children's Hospital, that grant. So we had our first session last month, and that went really well. It was pretty much an overview of that collaborative and the grant and what it consists of and what we're going to be expected to do to fulfill that grant. And the idea is really, again, focusing on the whole child. So, that came up, basically education and bringing education and healthcare together for the whole child. So that's really exciting. Let me see, what else? Oh, we got to tour, so after we had our morning session, we got to tour Reynoldsburg Health Clinic there at the Livingston campus. And so that was really neat to see a school-based health clinic and what that looks like. So, and then they also had a mobile unit there. So we toured the mobile unit, and that was nice as well. They had a health fair as well, where they brought in different services, so we could walk around all the different districts and see the different health services that Nationwide offers as far as clinic type based care. Our next session's next week, and with that we're going to be it's going to be a needs assessment that we're going to be working on for the community and the district. So I'll be working with Lincoln Memorial along with Children's, and then behavioral health partners as well, to try and work on a needs assessment and what it looks like for our district. So that's all I have. Thank
All right,
you.
Gemma.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. Yeah. So, or you can talk about it if you want. Yeah, no, we're meeting once a month, or we were meeting once a month in a different building and talking about the concerns, safety concerns in that building and with the first responders. So we have the mayor typically attends, as well as police chief, fire chief, Tim Hickman, he's the safety director.
He's the safety director.
Safety director, and then school personnel as well. And so we just touch on different topics, the first part of the meeting that, in whatever building we're in. So today we were at Liberty, and so we talked about some concerns there, and then we opened it up to the broader picture. We've decided we'll probably end up meeting quarterly. So our next meeting will be in January, and so I think we're going to go to either Carson or McGuffey for that meeting. So we're going to continue doing those, which it's important. It's nice for us all to come together and talk about safety concerns. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Gemma. I gave Mr. Roy.
I didn't even put you on the spot.
She did a good job. I gave Mr. Roy the day off, although I had him working on his day off as well. So he's on his way back from a trip to Pennsylvania, so he will not be here this evening.
Okay, board members' comments.
I think it was really neat to have the kids come in and show exactly what they've done. Things are changing. The kids are doing a great job, and the teachers, and it's a lot of work. Really appreciate it. I'm done. That's it.
I really appreciate the reports, okay? It's a long day, but it really makes a difference, okay? I'm getting the picture, okay? It really helps, so thank you. It was great to see all the parents here with the kids. It's been it was a good meeting. Not that the others were bad, this was a good meeting, okay? Okay, thank you.
You done?
I'm done, like a turkey.
I'm not going to repeat what they said, just ditto. And then also like to congratulate the 5 graduates from NCS Digital. Good luck on their future endeavors.
Well, it was wonderful to see students from Hillview and Heritage, and just seeing all the things that they're doing is amazing. And of course, thanks to the teachers, not just there, but all throughout our district, that are making things happen. There's an election coming up, vote, on November the 2nd. And so we'll have a new school board representation, at least one. And so anxious to see how that goes. It's a bit of a thankless task, but the opportunities that you get to do your best to make a difference in the lives of young people is a privilege. And so I'm looking forward to see how that goes. Congratulations to Gabby Wolf and Kmart, who were the homecoming king and queen the other night. And the only girl on the court that was tall enough to stand next to Kmart.
Mm-hmm.
And she,
That was a tall couple.
yes, it was. And but great, just really excellent young people. Typical of what we see coming out of Newark High School. And so there are a lot of just fine young people graduating, and both seniors, and just neat young people coming out. And so it's a privilege to be a part of that. I'm done.
It's always good to hear and a pleasure to hear what each of our buildings are doing every day. Not only that, also by recognizing the students and the staff at each of those buildings. So it's kudos to all those buildings for sharing those highlights with us.
I already did mine during the cabinet member reports, so it's you, Bev.
Oh,
Your
back to
turn.
me. Okay. Touching on what Tim said, yes, this is your opportunity to help decide the makeup of the school board. I will be leaving the school board at the end of this year. I will tell you that it's the hardest job I've ever had, the lowest paying job I've ever had, but the most fulfilling job that I've ever had, and I've really enjoyed the almost 12 years that I've been on it. And so, not going to tell anyone who to vote for or how to vote, but I would tell you, you know, check out the candidates, see what you're looking for. Do they care about children? That's the number one. They care about children and they care about the community. If someone's running because they want a new football coach or their child didn't get selected for the cheerleading squad, that's an important personal issue to them, but it's not, you know, an issue for the school district maintaining, you know, what we need to maintain for the community. So stray from people with agendas and look for people that just have a big heart for children. And for those of you running, you'll fall in love with the kids in an instant. Our kids here are absolutely amazing, and we've talked a lot about STEM programs and stuff tonight, and that's been a real challenge for us. And I've mentioned it before. We had to have these programs because the children were demanding it. Mm-hmm. We let them have some little Lego leagues in elementary school, and it just blew up. The kids were like, what's next? And then they got to middle school and they didn't have Lego league. Well, what are we having? What are we doing at middle school? And then the middle schoolers got to high school and said, there's no STEM programs at the high school. So STEM has grown so much because the students demanded it, and kudos to them for pushing us to explore expanding those programs. I've had kids come up to me before and say, hey, can we have blah, blah, blah kid club? And I've said, hey, if two or three of your friends are interested in that type of club, go to your principal, go to your teacher. Yeah, we're happy to do that. So the kids have really, you know, come up with new club ideas, and some of the club sports that we've had in the past are all because the kids were interested, and then they've pushed us. And so, you know, the adults like to think they're in control, but just like at home, the kids are in control here, and they've done an outstanding job of steering our district to fulfill their needs. And of course, we have a staff, and you've heard it tonight. I mean, what you're hearing tonight is the tip of the iceberg, truly, of what's happening in our buildings with our staff members and our administrators and our support staff. So always proud of them, and they're always ready to step up for whatever we throw at them or the kids throw at them. Yeah. Warren's had his aha moment.
The bus drivers and bus aides, you know, we really appreciate you all. I'll tell you what, there's no way in the world that I would drive a bus, but I appreciate you all, and you know, you all have the safety of our kids in your hands. And when it's dark and cold and snowy and slippery, that's a great task, and we really appreciate it. Just want to say thank you again. Yep.
Absolutely. And one more social emotional thing I will put out there is that if we're struggling with an issue in a situation, be it COVID or anything else there, you know, we're having a tough time as adults dealing with this stuff. And we're expecting our children to do the same thing. And so keep in mind, I mean, sometimes when they're lashing out or, you know, not wanting to do homework or getting upset, you know, they've got a lot to deal with also. And if we have trouble, of course they're going to have trouble. So, you know, hang in there, be there for your kids, and then the kids be there for your parents, and just work together. You're a team. And with that, I will take a motion to move to executive session to discuss property and personnel, and we may take action after the executive session. Do I have a motion to go to executive session? Warren and then Mike. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
And Ms. Neck?
Yes,
Motion
moving to
carries.
executive session at 6:59 p.m.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you all.
Any further business for the board this evening?
Yeah, I would like the board to consider,
There was some,
would like you guys to consider, I'll let you read that part, I guess, but the adjusting the daily rates for Kyle Walters, from the dean daily rate to a principal daily rate, as he will be taking over at Heritage as interim principal, and Adam Evans as a teacher daily rate at Wilson, moving up to the dean daily rate at Wilson on an interim basis, starting on November 18th. I'll let Julio read the rest as he was writing it.
so the resolution will read to approve salary and/or position adjustments effective 10/18/2021 for
10/18, I'm sorry. Yeah, I put 11/18, I'm sorry.
for Kyle Walters and Adam Evans, as he mentioned.
Removed.
Tom has moved, Warren second the motion.
Who, Tom? You moved?
Any questions or discussion, and have we notified the parents?
Who
Are they
seconded was
finding
that?
out right now on Facebook?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, parents were notified.
Okay, if no questions, call the roll, please.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
And Ms. Nichols?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Warren and then Tim. Call the roll, please.
I don't know why. I got a
Mr.
copy
Weber?
back. Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
And Ms. Nichols?
Yes, being
are
adjourned.
Thank you.